Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm super excited about a movie that I'm going to tell you about. But first, before I start, be sure and subscribe and click on that little bell, and it'll notify you every time I upload a new movie review, which is basically every single day. I want to give you the scoop on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision as to which movies you want to spend your time and money on, because so many of them are coming out and not all of them are worth your time and money. And also, when you get a minute, be sure and visit me on Instagram as Movie Review Mom and join my Facebook group called Movie Review Mom, where we have lots of contests and fun conversations and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the movie review. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called The Tomorrow War. I was super excited to watch this, and I actually just finished watching the press screener that Amazon sent me. So thank you, Amazon. This Amazon original airs exclusively today, July 2nd, 2021. If you don't have Amazon Prime, click down below because I have a coupon for a free 30-day trial where you can watch this movie and hundreds of others for free. Yay, free. So this movie is rated PG-13 and it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. That's a pretty long movie. But first, in a nutshell, are you ready for a fun summer blockbuster? Yeah, I am too. Well, here it is, just in time to celebrate Independence Day, at least here in the United States. Is this movie perfect? No. Is it fun to watch? Yes. So in the tomorrow world, the world is stunned when a group of time travelers arrives in the year 2051 to deliver an urgent message. 30 years in the future, mankind is losing a global war against deadly alien species. The only hope for survival is for soldiers and civilians from the present to be transported to the future and join the fight. Among those recruited is a high school teacher and family man, Dan Forrester, played by Chris Pratt. Yay, Chris Pratt to the rescue. Determined to save the world for his young daughter, Dan teams up with a brilliant scientist, Ivan Strahovski, and his estranged father, played by J.K. Simmons, in a desperate quest to rewrite the fate of the planet. Dun, dun, dun. The film was written by Zach Dean and directed by Chris McKay. All right, so there are a lot of things I really liked about this movie. And as I said, I was really looking forward to it. First of all, I adore Chris Pratt. I mean, who doesn't? He saves the world in every movie he's in, basically. Fans will get to see a shirtless, buff Pratt, complete with his six-pack abs and snarky sense of humor. Love that guy. This is the first time that he's actually also working as an executive producer. So good on him. Did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is his new father-in-law? So the story goes that Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to say, "I will be back," instead of "I'll be back," in all of the Terminator movies, because he thought that it would sound more robotic, like what a Terminator would say. But they made him say, "I'll be back," which of course became a legendary line. Well, in this movie, Chris Pratt's character actually says, "I will be back." So I'm sure the two of them had a conversation about that. Actually, it'd be super fun to listen to their conversation about anything, really. This is Sam Richardson's second movie to come out in as many months. Good for him. His June release was the comedy horror flick called Werewolves Within. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but I actually rated that really highly and thought it was fun. But definitely check out my movie review on that one before you watch it, just to make sure that it's, your cup of tea. He did a great job in that movie, and he does a good job in this movie, but it's kind of odd how they use him. He kind of appears, then disappears for a while, reappears sort of randomly. And I'll talk more about characters here in just a few minutes. Fun fact, some of the names that were suggested for the film when it was being filmed was Generation Alien, World War A, Generation Gone, Generation Draft, Alien Dawn, Destiny War, and Saving Tomorrow. Out of all of those, I'm really glad that they picked The Tomorrow Roar. I do like Saving Tomorrow too, but anyway, I think that they did a good job. There's a lot of humor in the movie, and most of it lands in a very subtle way where you're not like bursting out loud in laughter, but you're kind of chuckling on the inside, you know. Betty Gilpin is another actress in the movie, and she recently, well, about a year or so ago, starred in a brutally dark comedy, action comedy called The Hunt. You definitely want to watch my review before you watch that one because, as I said, it's brutal, but she is extremely capable. And so I was really disappointed with how underutilized she is in this movie. Jasmine Matthews, on the other hand, makes for a very fierce leader, and she was used fairly well. She could have been used more. Mary Lynn Ratskub always makes me laugh. I loved her in 24. I don't know if you ever watched that. It was really great to see her again in something because I hadn't seen her in anything for a while. There's a binocular action shot that I thought was really creative. And then there's some really good aerial views and some other creative shots. And I always appreciate that. The cinematography actually was really good, mixed in with CGI. I mean, I thought it was all very believable. And speaking of believable, I thought that the creatures, the aliens, are super creative. And in fact, they're some of the most creative aliens I've seen in recent years. You get to look at them up close and personal, which is great. And as I mentioned, the CGI is really good and very believable. I mean, you feel like they are real creatures and they're, you know, pretty terrifying. There's lots of fun tension, and the soundtrack, I think, really enhances and builds those moments very well. There's a lot of action and a fun time to be had if you like all of that kind of stuff. I really like that regular people get drafted to fight in this war. It's not just a bunch of trained soldiers versus aliens. Instead, it's normal people like science teachers and even, you know, just moms and regular people that are fighting and being recruited into this war to save the future. And so I liked that element because people were very unprepared and, of course, very frightened. So there were a few things I didn't like or thought could have been handled better. For example, in the beginning and in a lot of the science scenes, there's lots of exposition to try to explain what's happening and try to make it make sense. Some of the viewers are saying that the aliens actually represent global warming and they're a metaphor for all of the threats to the environment. So I want to know what you think after you watch the movie. Are they just aliens, or was the writer and the director trying to say something more? Just curious. So comment down below. You would also think that there would be way better weapons in the future. I mean, granted, it's only 30 years in the future, but still, technology advances so fast. Anyway, despite the length of the movie, there just isn't enough time to really get to know a lot of the characters. And it is a really long movie. And the action is really why you're watching this popcorn flick to begin with. But it would have been nice to get to know them a little bit more, you know, especially some of the side characters, so that you would care about them. You definitely care about Chris Pratt. You know, he's the main guy in the movie, but some of these other characters just sort of appear and then disappear and then randomly appear, as I mentioned before, or they die and they just disappear and you're like, okay. There are some scenes that aren't explained very well. Now, I don't want to give you any spoilers, so just trust me, but also don't worry about the logic, just enjoy the ride. So don't overthink this movie. Acts 1, 2, and 3 definitely feel differently. They feel like different chapters, well, different acts of a movie, and the tone changes, and even the direction and the messaging of each of those chapters or elements of the movie changes. And ultimately, it fell short of the emotional beats that I was looking for. You know, I didn't cry. I had some moments where I was worried for people, but, you know, it just didn't really get you in the heart and make you get all teary-eyed or anything like that. So let me give you some tips for parents, because I think kids are definitely going to be interested in this movie. First of all, kids are going to learn some science from science teacher Chris Pratt. In fact, he tells students in one scene, "I know you're speechless because it's so captivating." There's a lot of profanity, including one F-bomb that I caught. In fact, there's a scene where one of the characters yells the SH word like 100 times in 10 seconds. And it's meant to be funny, and it is, but I was just like, should I be counting all of these? There's a very high body count with bloody, gory deaths of humans and aliens. And you see all that up close and personal. The aliens bleed green. So, I mean, it looks like alien deaths, but some of them are pretty gory and brutal. There's lots of destruction. And of course, people, humans in perilous situations. So some themes that are presented well in the movie are hope, war, of course, earth, survival, humanity, family, and sacrifices. And I thought those were handled actually really well. So whenever I watch movies, I write down funny lines and interesting lines so that I can kind of give you a taste of the movie. And I have them all written down on my written movie review at moviereviewmom.com. So if you want to read more, go over there and check those out. But I'll share just a couple of them with you right now. So Chris Pratt's character is, getting recruited, and he's really nervous, and he keeps going, wait. And he's got all these questions, and then he starts cracking snarky jokes because he's super nervous. And, they're all just scientists and military people, and they're very straightforward. You got to do this, you got to do that. And he's like, they don't have any jokes in the future. So I thought that was actually one of the first jokes that I even heard in the movie that I wrote down. And then his wife, of course, is trying to get him to run away and escape, so he's not going to get drafted. And she's giving him all the reasons why they need to run away and hide. And he's like, I can see why you don't work in the recruiting department. There is some foreshadowing, and I don't want to give you any spoilers away. I was just going to tell you one of the lines, but I think it would give too much away. But here's one of the interesting lines, also spoken by Dan Forrester, played by Chris Pratt. He says, second chances are hard to come by. And that's also one of the themes of the movie. So ultimately, you want to know what my movie review mom grade is? I'm going to give it an A. It's not perfect. And I thought, oh, maybe I should give it an A minus, because some people are saying, oh, it's just not that great of a movie. But I was entertained. I enjoyed it. And for a summer blockbuster, it's basically what I expected. Okay, so before I go, let me give you a couple of recommendations for other really fun, intense movies that I think you'll also enjoy if you haven't seen them before. The first one that instantly came to my mind is an old classic from the 90s called Independence Day. And of course, I'm thinking about that because this movie is coming out on Independence Day weekend here in the United States. So it's a great alien movie, save the world, lots of great snarky humor. I mean, a lot of similar elements. I've seen that movie a ton of times and still love watching it. And then another movie that is way more intense, less humor, is War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. So if you haven't seen that one, you might want to check that one out as well. Okay, that's it for my review. Thank you also to those of you who are going over to Patreon to support me there. I hope you have a fantastic 4th of July weekend. Have a great time watching movies and spending time with family, because like in this movie, family is the most important thing. All right, bye for now.